Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and welcome back to another episode of our Theorycraft Thursday. This is episode 5, where we'll be talking about the newest addition to the game in Penthesilea. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Theorycraft Thursday is a weekly series for the upcoming collectible card game Total War Elysium, where I will be showcasing some of the new features in the game, or simply Theorycraft how to build certain decks. Today, we'll be simply looking at the newest addition to the game, as we have a new general and 8 new cards. So, kicking things off with the new general, we have Penthesilea showed here. She is once again an ancient general that belongs to the Trojan faction, and she has 1 attack and 20 health, with a unique ability that gives your first unit played during each day plus 1 attack. And in addition to the general card, we also have a signature card. And in this case, the signature card for Penthesilea is Blood Oath, which is a 5-cost signature card that will give any one of your friendly units a Shatter ability. Shatter means they will be triggered once they die, and the Shatter ability is redeploy this with 1 health. So simply, whenever one of your friendly units with Blood Oath dies, they will be redeployed into the game with 1 health. And this allows for a lot of cool combinations for units that have special effects when they are dead, and they can die twice with the use of Blood Oath. Now, Blood Oath clearly is a very mid-game to late-game heavy card given its high cost, but Penthesilea can actually drive a lot of great combo with this, which hopefully we can talk about one day in a deck showcase. As for now, we're just interested in the new cards that are added into the game, so we're gonna pop away from her, where we will simply stay in the card collection and look at all 8 cards that were added. Now, of course, I don't have all 8 cards yet, but we can still see the cards themselves and their value, and we'll go by alphabetic order. So the first card we have is the Amazon, which I actually have. So Amazon here, if we zoom in, it's once again a Trojan exclusive card, so only the 3 Trojan generals can use this, and that is Priam, Agamemnon, and of course Penthesilea. For the Amazon card here, you have a 1 attack 4 health unit that has plus 5 attack during your turn. So they're very good on offense, but they're punished on defense. In terms of value, it's a 6/4 during your turn, and during the enemy turn, it's a 1/4, leaving them an opening to attack this unit. So overall, pretty balanced card. I don't think it's particularly strong or weak. Potentially, you can have some interesting combos with this card that features it exclusively during your turn, but overall, from my impressions, I don't think this card is a very powerful card and is a common card in the collection. So that also kind of explains how I have one already. Moving on, going towards B, we have Berserker, which is no longer a card that I have, and we have to instead go to crafting. So Berserker here is an epic card, and it's a 6-cost unit. It's 7/3 and has the Herald ability, which means it activates when you play it. If your hand is empty, this gains Unbreakable, which means nothing can damage it until daybreak. Now, Unbreakable means it cannot be attacked or damaged, but if you have certain spells or certain event cards, say Demoralize, which now is a -3/-3, it's a stat multiplier. That can still be used on cards like Berserker. And when you use Demoralize on Berserker, even though it's unbreakable, it will still die, because it will lose the 3 health from the stat, and it will become a 0 health, which essentially kills it. But outside of that, you can't really touch this card until the next daybreak, because if they do manage to play this card while their hand is empty, for example, if they're playing a Lagatha deck, or any other deck in the late game where you top deck this card, this is a very powerful card, because essentially you can gain up to about 3 turns of Unbreakable for a 7 attack Berserker. Very, very strong. So this is definitely something that I can see in play for a lot of the aggressive Viking deck, and this is a Viking exclusive card. Alrighty, and moving on, we have yet another card called Border Guard, which is something that's gonna bring, oh, I spelled it wrong, but we still found it. Another card that I don't have. So Border Guard is a rare card. It is timeless, so any general can use this card. It's very balanced in terms of its stat. It costs 2 supplies to summon a 2/2. Nothing fancy about this card, no range, even though the artwork shows some arrows. And what it does is it makes all units cost 1 more. This includes your own unit. So this is actually a really great card for some of the deck we have featured before. For example, the Dongzhuo deck, which is a heavy event deck where you don't actually play any units, or for some of the structured deck that we have featured recently, because structured decks also don't play a lot of unit and rely instead on structure. So for event heavy or structure heavy deck, this is a pretty great addition for some early game power, as well as a way to slow down your opponent as they have to try to focus to remove this card so that they can play their combos or their units more effectively, or else you're delaying their curve by one when your deck really don't feature a lot of units, so this wouldn't affect you very much. This is a pretty great card to put on your second line in the back to keep it safe to slow down the enemy, or just put it out in the front to trade into the enemy, as it has pretty decent value at 2/2 for 2 supplies. And then moving on, we have a few more Trojan cards, because after all, we did get a new Trojan general, and that would have to be the Centaur Horde, which I have. So Centaur Horde is a card I crafted right away, and it's an epic card because I really want to try Penthesilea, and this is one of those cards where you can get a lot of value from by using your Blood Oath. So Centaur Horde is 2/7, as in 2 attack, 7 health. It is a cavalry, but right now the card is currently bugged because I forgot to put flanking on it. It will come with flanking on the next patch. So this would be a typical cavalry card that can bypass the front line to attack the 2 flanking cards on the back line, as in the leftmost and rightmost card. And Centaur Horde, having such a high health, allows you to keep it on the field a bit longer, because the new changes to Caltrop eliminates the possibility of wiping out high health cavalry in one go, as it does a maximum of 4 damage to the cavalry itself. So this card is going to be great because it has a great shatter effect. When it shatters, it will deploy 2 Normatic cavalry with attack equal to this. So you're not necessarily getting 2 2/2s, you might get a 3/2 or a 4/2 depending on how much you can buff the Centaur Hordes. So this is a great card. If you combine this with Blood Oath, then you will summon another 2/1 Centaur Horde that when it dies will summon yet again 2 more Normatic cavalry. So you're getting a ton of value for the card. So by paying 7 up front, you get a 2/7, and when it dies, you get 2 more 2 cost 2/2. If you add on a Blood Oath, what you will get is a 2/7, 2/2/2 at the minimum, and then another 2/1, and then when that dies, another 2/2/2. So essentially you're going to end up with 6 unit worth of cavalry for about 12 cost. And I believe that's actually really worth if at the bare minimum, those 6 unit of cavalry will have a total of 12 attack, which kind of balance out with the cost, but there's higher potential for that to grow. And if the enemy cannot kill your 2/1 Centaur Horde the second time it comes out, the very next turn, you can use your signature card on it again, and you can repeat the process, creating an infinite supply of Normatic cavalry for your army. So these Shatter effect combined with more Shatter effect are very powerful. And speaking of combination of these effects, another card that was added in is the Daughter of Alys, which is another card that I have crafted, another epic card. So Daughter of Alys simply is a 1/6 unit that costs 5, Trojan exclusive, and whenever a friendly unit dies, this gains its attack. So you can kind of imagine how we would combo such a card with all our Shatter abilities. Because we want our allies to die, when they die, we summon more things with more attack that could potentially die to summon yet more things with more attack. So our front line of 6 cavalry could all die, and by that time, our Daughter of Alys will be a 13/6 in the back line that we can easily move up to kill off the enemy. So this is just a constant threat for the enemy, and the fact that it has 6 health makes it a very sturdy constant threat, and one of the first target the enemy might go after, as any other target killed will only help strengthen the Daughter of Alys. Now the problem with this card is that the stat is not permanent, so you definitely don't want to use things like Blood Oath on this card, because bringing this back will only bring you back a 1/1, and that's something that you don't need to see. And speaking of iconic Trojan cards, one card that was clearly missing is the Fall of Troy, which is the new legendary card that's added in here, and clearly the card that I do not have. And because we searched Troy, a lot of the Troy cards are showing up. So Trojan Horse is this iconic image that we have when we talk about Troy. And the card Fall of Troy will deploy such a Trojan Horse on the enemy backline. So as we can see here, Trojan Horse is actually a unit. It's a ship unit because historically, or history behind the myth approach of the Total War Troy series has discovered that perhaps they used one of their ship to remodel it into this horse figure to pray to Poseidon, who is also the god of the horses. And here we have a unit that's 0-8, no attack, but the enemy can boost it. So once it becomes the enemies, they will have this 0-8 unit on their backline. And it has an ability called Shatter. Enemy deploys everything in their hand. Here, the enemy is not your enemy. The enemy becomes you. Because once you deploy this Trojan Horse on the enemy side, that's their unit. And the enemy used in the card is now you. So the second you're able to kill this horse, or if the enemy kill this horse, every single card in your hand will get deployed onto the field for free. So that's definitely a gamble, because sometimes you don't want things in certain lines. Sometimes there's a order for you to play things, but it is still a very good tempo card, and you could definitely see this in some more aggressive deck, especially decks that feature really good board clears, because you can easily hand them this and then board clear everything, and suddenly there's nothing on the board, this card dies, and everything that you have comes onto the board for free, giving you a huge tempo advantage. Even though if you can't control the order of cards being played and comboed, it'll still be very good value. And the fact that this is a legendary card that costs only 3 is also very good, because you can play this quite early on, and there is some value in that because that limits the number of cards that's left in your reserve. And if you're using cards like Messenger, this greatly increases the odds of you pulling cards that you will need in your deck. Because I always had a theory that if you can make a deck where there's 9 very essential non-legendary cards, and then you fill out the other deck, as in the other half, the 9 cards with legendary cards, and you simply draw out those, then your messenger is always going to be drawing you relevant cards at all times. That's if you have the situation where you have 9 good and fitting legendary cards, and also you have 9 very essential cards that you will want all the time. So that's kind of the theory behind this. There is some counterplay, because you are giving the enemy an 8 health creature at turn 3 where you spent 3 supplies, and the enemy has any way of buffing this unit, can be very powerful. Or if you're running a card like Cowardice, where you can return a certain unit to their owner's hand, they can summon back this Trojan Horse from the field and prevent you from killing it and preventing you from using it effectively. So there are definitely counterplays to this, and you can obviously buff it and use this to against the enemy for some valuable trades. You can wait till they don't have enough cards in their hand to destroy this horse yourself. So it's not a death sentence, but it's also a very interesting flavor added to the game, as previously we never had a card that could deploy something on the enemy side of the field. So definitely worthy of a legendary status and iconic for the Trojan factions as well. Alright, moving on, we have 2 more cards. We have the Earthwork Battery, which is, oh, I can't spell. There we go. This is a rare card that I do not yet have. It's a very interesting Empire card. So what it does here is you have a 1/5 short range artillery unit. So artillery synergizes quite well with artillery commander. It gives you a round shot each time you fire or attack. And here it's a nice 1/5, which is a lot of health, but as you can see, it costs 6 supply, and it is a structure. So it's not a unit, and it costs quite a bit. Now the good thing about this card is every time you deploy another structure, this will deploy a foot artillery, which is the beginning unit that you have as Napoleon. It's a 2 supply 1/2 artillery unit that has short range. So essentially what you're doing here is you're using what's potentially a really structure heavy deck for one of the Empire members, and the one that's coming to mind is actually Marie Antoinette, because Marie Antoinette also received a big change in this patch in that her signature card not only reduces cost with the death of your own unit, but also the death of your own structure. So potentially you could run a structure heavy deck, making the enemy destroy those structures and giving you some value. And you can use a combination of this for some late game artillery right behind those structures that you could play out. Because you could easily summon 2 palisades in the front line and you could get 2 foot artilleries here for a total of 7 cost. So you could get a 1/5 structure plus 2 1/2 walls in the front and plus 2 1/2 foot artilleries in the back just for a 7 card combo. So there's definitely potentials. And with the cards such as Star Fort, which we can quickly look at, since we do have that, we can just take a look at this. So this is the ultimate structure card for the Empire faction. You get short range, your other units and structures get +2/+2. It's a 1/9 structure. So this clearly could combo well as the ultimate card in that deck that empowers all those short artillery that's 1/2 into these 3/4 monsters. Your structures would also have more health and more attack. So overall, very powerful card. You could combo this deck with Demolition for board clear. There's potential, and Marie's never short of melee units that you can use as fodder, as you'll be always spawning peasants once you become the revolutionary mob. So that's pretty much another interesting new card added into the game. And finally, we have a card that I feel like will eventually have a home, but right now it's kind of lacking. It's the Sedar. So the Sedar is a 2/2 cost creature or unit card. I guess it is a creature. It is Trojan exclusive, and it has the effect that whenever a friendly Shatter effect triggers, you can deploy this directly from your deck. So this is one of those cards that has insane value because you might never have to pay their cost. You can have this in your deck. It's a free draw essentially, and a free 2/2. So all you need to do is have some Shatter effect. Now the problem right now with Shatter is if we take a look, if we just search up Shatter, there's a couple cards I don't have. So let's just see. This is Trojan exclusive, so only Ancient and Trojan card will work. So here, Trojan Horse would work, but that's not friendly because once we play it, it's no longer on our side of the field, so this doesn't count. This is Medieval, this is Medieval, and this is Viking, so these would not work as well. So what do we have? Well, Warmonger is also Medieval. Headhunter is Timeless, this would work. Longship does not work. Mycenaean Chariot would work. Centaur Horde will work, and that's it. So right now, there are only 3 cards that can combo with it. Now, of course, you can argue that if we are playing as Penthesilea, then every card is a Shatter card, because we can add Shatter to any card. And that's definitely the intention. But I feel like more cards are needed for Sedar to really have a role in the game. Because even if you get a free draw, because you are summoning directly from your deck, then it's still not that much value for a 2/2. It's essentially a short sword value, which costs 1, and you could summon short swords for free now with structures such as the Twintian Farm. So overall power level, not so high, versus some of these high value Trojan cards, like say Mycenaean Chariot is insanely powerful now. It has flanking, it's a 3/3, 5 cost. When you summon it, if you're able to trigger Heroic, as in you have an empty board in that lane, then you'll be able to summon 2 archers. When it dies, it will summon 2 more archers. So you can get insane value out of this card if you play it right. And if you add Blood Oath to it, you can get up to 6 archers from this one card for about 10 cost. And you get a 3/3 and a 3/1 flanking chariot. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with Penthesilea. As you can see, I named her Value Queen. I'm going to play around with her quite a bit. They're still a bit buggy because things like Centaur Horde isn't working correctly. So we're probably not going to showcase her this week. I'm probably going to showcase... Let's keep it a surprise. If you guys are interested in what deck will be part of this Sunday's deck showcase, come back for that. And for now, that's all we have for Theorycraft Thursday, as we're doing a really brief rundown of all the new cards added into the game in the latest September patch. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, I'll see you guys next week. Bye!